afternoon. I will start, of course, by thanking our extraordinary Secretary Blinken. You have been traveling the world at record pace. That you are standing still at this moment is an extraordinary feat, given all you do.
It's the Kenyan coffee.
And it's the Kenyan coffee. But on behalf of our country, I thank you, Tony Blinken, for all that you are. Thank you. Thank you. And the second gentleman and I are honored to host this luncheon with you and Ms. Evan Ryan, and to welcome President Ruto and Mrs. Ruto. And to all of our distinguished guests, members of Congress, leaders in every sector of our society, welcome and thank you for your work and the partnership. So I strongly believe that African ideas and innovations will have a significant impact on the future of the entire world. A belief driven in part by the extraordinary creativity, dynamism, and energy of young African leaders on a continent where many of you may know the median age is 19. On a continent where 1 in 4 people who occupy space on Mother Earth will be by the year 2050. And fueled then by that sense of optimism, last year I had the good pleasure of visiting the continent for a week-long trip. And it turns out it's the longest I've spent on foreign soil since I've been vice president. The goal of the trip, thank you. The goal of the trip was to highlight and strengthen our partnerships in government, in business, and in the civil society, to increase private sector investment, to revise and upgrade the U.S.-Africa narrative, which is long overdue, and to bring fresh focus to the innovation and ingenuity that is so prevalent across the continent of Africa. There at an incubator, I met with tech entrepreneurs who are taking small businesses online and strengthening supply chains. I convened young musicians and artists whose Afro beats are influencing music around the globe. I visited with climate activists, farmers, women small business owners, and students. And at the end of that trip, I was more convinced than ever the continent of Africa represents the future of our world. And I will add, any leader that ignores the continent of Africa is doing so at their own peril. Which brings me to Kenya, Mr. President. No country on the continent more embodies this spirit of innovation than Kenya. Kenya, as many here know, has Silicon Savannah, a $1 billion technology ecosystem confronting challenges that range from the climate crisis to financial inclusion to healthcare. To address wealth inequity, innovators at M-Pesa help low-income people pay and repay microloans, and they have revolutionized the mobile payments industry. To help solve the problem and challenge of pollution coming from plastics, and to address threats to marine ecosystems, a Kenyan startup now converts aquatic invasive plants into biodegradable plastic. To tackle water security, and in particular scarcity and drought, a Kenyan startup now turns humidity from the air into clean drinking water. To help his deaf niece communicate, a Kenyan data scientist invented a smart glove to convert sign language into audible speech through a mobile app. And to make healthcare more accessible and affordable, AI is now being used for medical image scans, and chatbots are providing healthcare advice. President Ruto, innovation has flourished under your leadership. You and I just left a fireside chat at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Your leadership has been extraordinary. And as I shared with you, with our Ambassador Whitman, you really, as a leader, symbolize the importance of the partnership between the United States and the continent. You ran, Mr. President, on a platform of promoting entrepreneurship and strengthening your economy. You have spoken powerfully about the need to bridge the digital divide and that innovation will drive economic growth. Your work and this visit reinforces the point that African ideas and African innovation will help shape the future of the world. The partnership between the United States and Kenya is grounded in shared values and a shared vision for the future. We are grateful, Mr. President, for your commitment to democracy, your commitment to take bold action on the climate crisis, your commitment to broad-based economic growth, and your commitment to support global security and stability, most recently through Kenya's leadership to help stabilize Haiti. The fates of the American people and the Kenyan people are intertwined. Secretary Blinken just spoke about Tom Mboya and the airlift. I will add, in 1959, when Mboya was in the United States gathering support for the airlift, he joined in a march with American civil rights activists. Just blocks from here, he spoke about our shared struggle for political freedom, economic opportunity, and human dignity. And these 65 years later, I stand proud to acknowledge your leadership, Mr. President, of these same principles. Later on that trip, Mboya was invited to Atlanta, I see the former mayor here, by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. There, as they stood together, Dr. King said, and I quote, "Our struggle is not an isolated struggle. We are all," he said, "caught in an inescapable network of mutuality." So to you, President Ruto, just as it was then, and even more so today, our people are interconnected and interdependent, and so I will raise a glass and ask all to join to the U.S.-Kenya partnership and in celebration of our network of mutuality. Mr. President, cheers. Cheers. And now I invite President Ruto to share a toast. Thank you.